can't be talking to kids about ownership and all of this, you know, when we pushing this brand that we don't even own it.
Hey man, real stay safe shit. You already know what the fuck going on. You gotta put on my fucking spectacles for this shit. You already know. Hey, so we posted. We gotta talk about this situation with fucking YBN Cordae. So the reason why fucking YBN Cordae basically is not a part of the YBN movement. So the YBN movement with YBN Amir, YBN Almighty J, and YBN Cordae sort of like took off in the mid like 2010s and like 2017 when this nigga YBN blew up with the song Rubbing Off the Paint. And then he sort of was basically the first person to blow up. And this sort of like eventually catapulted the careers of YBN Almighty J, and then Cordae was like the third person to blow up amongst all of them. He had songs such as the fucking remix of that one J. Cole song. What the fuck is it? It wasn't 1986. It was some old head shit. I think it was even called Old Heads. Then he had like Have Mercy and that song, and then he just basically sort of became the more like biggest artist out of all these niggas. And even though he was the third person to really blow up, he became the biggest artist on a mainstream level. And then it's sort of like YBN Amir and YBN Almighty J sort of fell behind this shit, but he still had the YBN or name for like mad long. Honestly, like the majority of his career, really, if you think about it, like this nigga really spent his whole career rapping that shit. So then it was around last year when YBN Cordae basically fucking like announced, like I don't even know if he announced, but he just took YBN off out of his name. And then after this, fucking like Namir had a weird ass reaction and was like, man, I built this shit up and I fucking like it's just sad to see niggas drive this shit into the ground or whatever like that. Like this nigga basically said that. But honestly, like YBN Cordae, he kind of was like silent about it, didn't really talk about it for like a year and shit. And then randomly he had a Genius interview where he basically describes why the fuck he didn't like take the name out, or why he took the name out. And the actual answer to it is that basically it all kind of boils down to they didn't have rights to it. And it sounds like the type of thing where the YBN name was fire, but it was like I'm guessing the label had the rights to the actual name, and since they were signed, the label owned the group or some shit like that, so they didn't even like own the name of the shit that they were rapping, which is crazy. I don't know how the fuck they did business like that. I feel like it was some YBN Amir shit like that, because this nigga be doing like sus business dealings and shit like that. But because of the fact that they didn't like own the name of the shit, like these niggas had to fucking like, I don't know, like not rep it to the fullest. And Cordae, he was basically talking and preaching to like people saying that they need to own everything, own the rights to their music, own the fucking masters and shit. But it's like, how is he able to talk about owning like your own like intellectual property when they don't even own YBN the name? And it's crazy that these labels can even own something like that. I guess they didn't even see it in the contracts when they were doing it, but basically like the labels, they have like a licensing deal and they probably signed something without an option, so it was like they basically own the rights to the YBN name as a group as a whole, so they basically own them. This is that slavery shit that I'll be talking about, bro, like with the labels. I talk about it in multiple videos, but these labels are basically borderline slave masters right now, and they can own everything up to the goddamn your name and likeness and shit. You just saw like, I think Tina Turner just sold her name and likeness. These niggas, like, she sold that shit for a couple million, but these niggas probably didn't even know that they were signing that shit away, because it's like the lawyers and everything. Like, if you don't get lawyers for yourself and you get the lawyers from the record deal company, these niggas will have you doing whatever, bro. These niggas will have you signing your fucking firstborn off and shit. Like, these labels are really fucking crazy with the shits. So then he basically realized that they weren't owning that shit, so he dropped the name. And it's good that he finally explains that's the reasoning behind it. And it seems like Namir is cool with him regardless, like not really like, he's cool with the fact that he dropped it now. Like, he was showing love and shit. But back when he was talking that shit, saying that they drove it into the ground, like, This nigga was the one that drives the fucking YBN name into the ground with all his weird business dealings, him scamming fans, not to mention that Soul Train track being really weird, and him just basically not releasing like he be releasing hits and shit, but the shit don't be sounding mixed and mastered properly. So it's like not even on some underground shit, just like rush. And Cordae really be coming with shit that's thoughtful and taking time and shit. So it's gonna see like who's really gonna stand the test of time. But it's like this nigga was talking about niggas driving the name into the mud, but really he was the one contributing to that shit the most and driving it into mud. But just judging by the way that he commented and shit, and he showed love to Cordae when he posted this, that I don't really think it's like an issue anymore. But it just goes to show, man, y'all gotta look at those fucking contracts. Look twice, 3 times, have 2 or 3 lawyers look it over, because these niggas at these record labels are looking for ways to get money, because it's like the record industry is failing. Like, sure, they got a large percentage of money these last couple years because of streaming, but they're realizing that the streaming check is not going to be forever, because these artists are going to go independent. More and more, you don't need a fucking label. All you need to do is get some type of internet like following and shit, and then just like rep that shit to the fullest, and then your following will pay and listen and everything, and then you'll be set. These labels and shit, like these were designed in like 1990 and 1985 or some shit like that. Like these niggas are operating on those same rules. They don't know about the new trends, about TikTok, about trends and shit. They're not on top of it, so they just try to get artists while they're like on the come up, and they're just getting big because they can make hella bread off them. Then later down the line, they be fucking finessing them and shit out of payments and shit like that, and like not really giving them their full worth. On top of that, you're not like, you can sign away your intellectual property and not even know that shit. So it's just like a dub at this point, man. Fuck a label. I'm gonna say that shit all day, every video. I don't give a fuck. But hey, man, it's kind of interesting to see what the fuck happens. I know Cordae, he has a blossoming career and shit ahead of him, because he's like on that conscious wave and shit, and not in a corny way, so he's just gonna get bigger and shit. And Amir looks like he's going hard too lately. He drops a couple tracks and the shit looking fire. It's just gonna be interesting to see what the fuck happens with both of their careers and shit. And you know, I'm glad that they're not hating on each other anymore and they're only just showing love. But it's just another lesson, man. Fuck the record industry. This is the reason why you gotta fucking own all the property of your shit and try to be an independent artist as long as you can, man. But hey, real stay safe shit. You already know what the fuck going on. We just dropped these fucking hooded face masks and shit. Some stay safe tees on the website. Link in the bottom. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that shit.